SSL. It is 2016. I am Valdez. With me today is Wolf. It's so good to be back, casting some more Starcraft. How are you feeling, Wolf?
I'm feeling really good. It's been a long time since I've been able to commentate Starcraft in Korea. I've been working on a lot of other tournaments out here in Seoul, but I'm back in StarLeague. I'm back here full time. I hope you guys enjoyed the other broadcasts we had while I was gone as well. I've been watching them, I've been checking up all those VODs, but the tournament format has been changed. We're going into one of the last parts of the winner's bracket tonight, and I think it's going to be some really good matches. We got a team kill and a PvP.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the games are going to be a lot of fun today, Wolf, but we have another thing that's coming on to the broadcast. Joining us today is Brendan's mustache.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I hope you guys don't mind. You know, he's kind of new.
Yeah,
he's a little bit shy, but he's out there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just every time I look at you, I just look right at your mustache, and I'm entranced by it. Like, I can't stop looking at that mustache. And I thought, you know, I always thought, wow, Brendan would look so good with a mustache, but this time you really came back with a mustache. You did not.
I did it.
You did not return empty
mustache,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I hope that Artosis can join me once you know, he does begin casting.
That's right.
I don't know. It's because you guys can grow beards and me and him can't grow beards, and I know that he can grow a mustache because I've seen, you know, the little stubble. You can tell when you look at a man's face where they can grow.
Yeah, sometimes
by the end of the night, you know.
Yeah, by the end of like a few days too, you know Artosis is going on like one of those like VOD binges or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out of his house, and like he comes out and you're like, he's like, I've seen all the Pro League VODs now, and you're like, okay, he caught up. And then he's got a little bit of stash, and
that's how you can tell.
Yeah, when you look at Artosis' face and he has that little stash there, you immediately think of the Merkmate Photoshop, but you know that it can become a reality. And that's what I'm hoping here for you know, our broadcast team. Where we got. I have a beard. Tasis has a beard. You got a stash. Artosis has a
beard
stash.
twins, and then the mustache twins.
And then GTR could just be he can just be clean shaven. That's fine. I don't know what he would look like with a beard. It might be weird.
We could. I think he could grow a mustache at least. So we'd have to talk to him about that, and we'll have to wait and see if he can actually join us in that. But here's a little look at Dark. Obviously, a very strong player, winning a lot recently in the GSL and over here as well.
Classic looking really solid right now. If you look at his matchup versus Terran, especially his 5-0, was using those adepts pretty well back in that old patch. But as you can see, he's on a great winning streak. He won his match versus Curious in Pro League. Went 3-0 versus Jockji and also beat Alive in the round of 16. This guy is a StarLeague champion as well, but he has to face his teammate here. And you know, here's our map list. But I talked to Classic briefly in the Maker Room, and I asked him, like, who do you think is going to win? And he was like, Zerg's too strong. I think it's going to be hard for me. But what he did share with us and Hyungyum, the interviewer here at SPO2D, was that the winner has agreed to buy the loser a coffee as condolence.
Yeah. So obviously these guys, very good friends. They've been on the same team for quite a while now. There's the woman herself we were talking to before. But anyway, guys, we're going to jump straight into an interview video first.
굳이 상관없고 그냥 누가 됐건 준비 잘해서 이긴다는 생각밖에 없어요. 내부에서도 제가 많이 이기고 있기 때문에 이번에 만나도 이길 수 있어요.
뭐 팀킬이라고 이제 크게 신경 쓰이지도 않고 제가 팀킬전을 굉장히 많이 이겨봤기 때문에 뭐 룡화 때문에 미안하지만 또 제가 이길 것 같아요. 경기 끝나면 내가 이길 것 같으니까 맛있는 거 사줄게. 힘내.
Well, you know, he said he was going to buy him something nice afterwards, but he also said he was going to win. Maybe lying for the camera there.
The reason he gave is because he's won a lot of team kills before. So he's like, sorry, and I think he's younger than Classic, actually. Maybe by like a year.
Yeah, I think so. Just a little bit younger. That's the impression I get anyways.
Speaking that Padma, saying, hey, I'll buy you something nice, but you're going to lose, I'm going to win.
Exactly.
I'm Classic.
So let's see what happens with this. I'd say most people would favor Classic here overall. Dark has really, I feel like Dark's fans and kind of his career is somewhat based off of Dark's huge upsets that every now and then he puts off with his unique style. Like, you know, sometimes he was playing with ZVT with Corruptors, and people were like, oh my god, Dark is so smart, he's so unique, he's so different.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he can beat his teammate today.
He definitely had his own way of thinking about the game for a while, and I remember I did an interview, I think it was 2014, where I'm like, Dark's going to be the big guy for 2015. He wasn't the big guy, but he was one of the strongest Zergs that we did have down here, so he definitely does command some respect when he does walk into that booth, but as we said before, I think this is just going to be a really close match. Any kind of team kill that you get into, regardless of matchup, is always going to be a bit punky because you have to imagine the amount of games these guys have played against each other. It's just insane. There's so many mind games that go into this.
You know, you weren't the only person to write an article about Dark. Artosis himself wrote an article on ESPN about this very player, saying he's incredibly strong. I know Artosis is rooting for him tonight, definitely because he feels he's one of the top up-and-coming players in Legacy of the Void.
I mean, it could happen. He's been up and coming for, ever since, I don't know, a long time ago.
Yeah, since like early 2014, I suppose.
Yeah. But the game is starting. The map is going to be Prion Terraces. So let's get into game number 1 here for Dark versus Classic.
Well, guys, hang in there, because we had, first of all, Prion Terraces is the first map. We had the wrong graphic up, and now you guys can actually see what's currently occurring. Is our observer is dropping from the game, but either the graphic was wrong, which is most likely, or the graphic was wrong and the map is correct, or the graphic is correct and the map is wrong.
The map graphic was incorrect. They got some kind of wrong information. I don't know. I think the graphic was the map graphic was wrong. The one that we just saw there for Orbital Shipyard. So we'll get into this game in just a moment.
Yeah, we did see some cool fans traveling around the world to come down to watch StarLeague. You guys can do that too. I actually got to meet those guys a little bit earlier. Very friendly. Took a photo with them, and anyone can come down to the studio. It's free. I want to make like a video guide on how to get here, because I get asked like literally every day. Like, I get every day on Twitter, there's somebody who's like, where's the studio? How can I get there? How much does it cost?
Is it free? That's
free?
The question I feel like I get every single day. Yes, it's free.
It's free.
Spread the word, guys. It is free to come down to the studio.
Listen,
and you in fact, you make money because you get a pin.
Yeah. So let's intro these players now that the game is actually up and loaded. Dark will be spawning to the bottom right and Classic to the upper left. But yeah, if you buy your plane ticket here, I mean, that's the real cost, but it's going to be worth it every time. Notice Classic dyed his hair. He's gone back dark.
Did he really?
Yeah. And I
didn't actually notice that. But
he was blonde all of 2015. Come on. Or not blonde, but, the more orangey Korean style. It's kind of like a little bit Shinhwa-esque, early 2000 boy band kind of color.
I'm glad we're getting an update on the hair from you, Wolf. Thanks for that.
Yeah. We are going to see a really early Ling aggression here, by the way, which we didn't talk too much about because we were like not even in game for a lot of that time. But the Ling aggression is going to come across the map now, and he's got his core on the way. His Zealot is being chroned, and he can tight wall this, so he should be totally fine initially. But let's see if these Lings can stick around to do damage. Back at home, Dark is transitioning.
Well, no, still making a lot of Lings, though. Not really droning up all too much. Still on 12 drones. But yeah, definitely getting that hatchery. Looking to put on a lot of early pressure here. I think it's going to be around 10 to 12 Lings that are coming across the map. But Classic right now has dragged down 3 probes to try to fight this off. Also got 1 Zealot. A second one is about to pop out here.
Yeah, he's going to pop it out on the inside, actually. Questionable choice, but oh, look at this. Good recovery here by Classic, but the probes can't help out with this angle. He's going to have to either mineral walk them through. You might even want to swap the Zealots now, because that one is low on shields. But back at home, 14 drones only, and he's adding a few of those now. He's got the gold base up. That's one of the unique features of this map, is the natural is a gold base. What a weird opening this has ended up being.
Yeah, I think overall the aggression really did not pay off here for Dark. There was that one moment where he almost got behind that Zealot, and if you can take out one Zealot, then you can begin to pressure once again at the gateway. But just with the 2 Zealots and the 3 probes that were down there, and the Adept that was coming out behind that Dark definitely knew was coming, there wasn't much he can do after not getting the kill on that Zealot. So just has to back off. Classic going to take his own natural here and transition into a Stargate.
Now, another thing that was not interrupted at all whatsoever for Classic was that tech. So the Stargate comes up, as you just mentioned, and Dark has 2 queens out. He's trying to drone up as much as possible. Much of his minerals are being sunk into that. With only 2 queens going for that 3rd base, once the first few Phoenixes start coming out, he could have some trouble. Probably actually going to be an Oracle first, though, as that is how most processes are opening if they're going to go for this type of expansion.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot with the 1 Oracle. It just has so much utility over the course of the entire game. You can use it to kill drones, kill workers, to kill lings even out on the map. You gain a lot of safety, getting your own 3rd base up, and it's even just good for revealing the enemy and just flying around and scouting a bit. So definitely could have been an option there. Going to go for a Phoenix first here, though. Yeah,
it looks like he's going to go Phoenixes instead, which is sometimes something you will see players do when they get kind of ahead from defending like this, because you can clear up the Overlords and your next move becomes unknown. And when a player does an aggressive strategy, especially a Zerg, their next step is to either continue the aggression or just simply recover and drone up and be greedy. So while you're hiding what you're doing next, the Zerg player might play it too safe because he doesn't know what you're doing. Or he might simply not be ready to be aggressive versus you because he doesn't know how defensive you're being. So clearing his Overlords kind of make sure that he doesn't know what's coming up next. He's not going to know how many, how many gateways he adds next. What he does see here with his Lings there's a few Adepts on the map. So he's gained only a little bit of information. Now this is the scary time once the Overlords are dead, once the Lings are pushed away.
Yeah, well, Classic here just going to go for a 3rd base. Going to just macro it up, defend at that 3rd base. Going to be quite easy for now because the only thing that Dark really has is Lings, and definitely not going to do a number against that many Adepts. He is making a decent amount of them, though, going up to 12 more. Just going to look to control the map a bit more here.
Yeah. The Phoenix production still continues. Spores went up. Dark is playing that safe. He has a decent amount of Lings out here, but he's not going to be able to easily find surface area. Look at the positioning here of these Adepts. Not going to be able to be surrounded.
It's really fantastic. And the Mothership Core in a really nice position as well. Can easily fly over and lay down some photon overcharge if need be. I think Dark is beginning to realize this, that he's not going to find an angle at all to get any damage done with that extra amount of Lings that he just made. So I think kind of not the best investment here at this point in the game for Dark. He has begun to drone up off the back of this, and he is going to take out a sentry here, in fact. But again, he's not going to do huge amounts of damage at this base.
Not finding much. Meanwhile, 4 drones did get picked off by these Phoenixes, and I think that got him a little bit flustered with his Lings, turned them around there. Didn't really do much of those Lings at all. Like, he wasn't targeting the pylon or the Nexus. He just kind of ran around and a few of them died.
Yeah, I got a sentry, a probe, I think, but that's about it.
Yeah, getting the sentry was a nice free bonus. A bit of a mistake by Classic, but Classic has all the control over this zone of the map. He knows there's only Lings on the map. He hasn't scouted a single Roach or Ravager. I don't think he's seen that Hydralistem, but he can expect reasonably that will be the transition, that will be the follow-up. So he knows for now he's very safe, and any movements he can continue to see with those Phoenixes. And look at this, he's just continuing to poke at the front. Another Ling attack will come over here, but he's going to be pushed out by that overcharge.
Really nice pull there by Classic as well, immediately getting out of the way of those hold position Lings, even picking off a Hydra and 4 more drones. So, as you said before, total map control going right now to Classic. I mean, he's got these Phoenix out here to see and poke around in the base of Dark, so that's all he really needs at this point. As he macros up into charge, he's getting Storm on the way, or at least a Templar Archives for now.
Yeah. A ton more gates coming up. We only have 1 robotics, and it's only been used so far for producing an observer. Now starting that immortal production. We are seeing most pros players end up going double robo immortal once they have that 3rd base secured and they're looking to take a 4th base. But so far he can't afford that just yet. He spent a lot of gas on those Phoenixes, and obviously is transitioning towards charge and those Templar. Ooh.
Picks off the Phoenix there. Nice little bit of damage coming from Dark. Getting that Lurker Den on the way. Just going to look to transition, get those in position to defend his 4th base, or possibly siege the 3rd base of Classic. Classic going to come over here and pick off his Queen. Hydras are very close by, in fact, so he's going to have to back off here.
Decides to cancel that lift. Well, a lot of Roaches coming up as well, so it's going to be kind of a Roach, Lurker, Hydra, Ravager sort of mix of things. It's a ranged composition. And, you know, it can do very well, actually, against an army that doesn't have Storm yet, but he doesn't have Lurkers in this army yet. He's going to try to siege up this 3rd base, it looks like. And this is a very powerful tactic with the Lurkers because they can do so much space control. And, you know, even with Zealots that have charge, it's still pretty tough to engage against this. And he's going to attack without Lurkers. In fact, just going to walk up here. Force fields go down.
Yeah, a couple of force fields. Doesn't want to completely force field the ramp just yet. He's waiting for that Storm, and he's about to get it here as well. And Dark kind of realizing once again that he's not going to be able to put on the pressure until he gets those Lurkers out. And just kind of waiting in the middle of the map until he does get that.
That second Robo is out, so Mortal production can continue, but looks like already 9 Lurkers on the way. Plus 2 attack is going to finish soon for these Lurkers. Even have another cannon being added here to help zone out that space, give a little bit of extra vision. He's actually on the chase here. I like this.
This is really smart because he knows those Lurkers are coming, and he's seen it now with the Phoenixes, but now they burrow, and immediately Classic does have to back off. Nice bit of harass here with just 3 Roaches to get into that mineral line. Did a bit of damage, but it does get cleaned up by Classic here. But what Classic's doing in the middle of the map, he's forcing these Lurkers to burrow and just waiting until he can get, you know, the +2, some more Immortals out, just more options to deal with this composition from Dark.
Looks like a small group of Hydras, meanwhile, have broken off from the main group over here. They're going to slide into this 3rd base, see if they can find an angle. They kill a Photon Cannon, but the overcharge and this group of Zealots will easily push them away. Good micro otherwise, though, from Dark, actually splitting his units here at the same time. We did see an Oracle added for Classic for that extra bit of vision, because it's going to be tough to keep the Observer alive with all these Hydras and Overseers.
Look at the spread right now on those Lurkers. Dark has to be careful, though, not to fight without his Lurkers and not take too much damage. Both of these players just kind of posturing right now. Neither one wants to fully commit. Dark not outside the range of his Lurkers, and of course Classic doesn't want to get inside the range of those Lurkers.
Yeah, but the longer this goes on, Dark begins to win because he's actually stifling Classic's economy because he's stuck on 3 bases. He can't take a 4th. The other Storm goes down. He's eating a lot of damage on this, but he will regen. 14 Hydras on the way to replace those units. I still got so many High Templar, though.
Just kind of got Classic backed into a corner, but his army is so strong at this point. We see Classic actually moving some units down here. A bunch of Zealots looking to possibly go for a surround, but Dark rather has spotted these and has done a nice bit of damage there.
Dark's control has actually been really good this game. Oh, hold that thought. We are going to see that attack. Now he's going for the surround, catching several Lurkers, actually Graviton lifting them up into the air. Storm's going down the rest of those squishy Hydras, and here come those Charged Zealots.
The Charged Zealots are now going to come in, and a lot of these Lurkers are really, really low. All of them are going to go down, but a lot of reinforcements coming across the map here from Dark.
Yeah, those are those extra Hydras I was talking about him remaxing with. Zealots do come in here, but there's no Archons left. The last Immortal falls, and basically he can kite this army back, and this is just too cost-efficient of an engage. Look at the production tab. Classic doesn't have enough production to actually keep up with the Zerg, who's now on a 5th base up and running, and he's just going to eventually walk across here, kill these reinforcements.
Yeah, unfortunately, those Observers can't do much to the units on the ground. So Classic desperately trying to get out some Archons, and just 3 Zealots in the mix as well, but just an overpowering army and so many reinforcements coming across the map now for Dark. I think this should be game number 1 going to our Zerg player.
Looks that way. This Archon over here, the last man standing. Down he goes, and I think we're going to see GG. Dark will take game number 1. The key here in that last game was just the Lurkers got sieged up. This is oftentimes how this matchup is decided. If the Zerg gets ahead, it gets Lurkers out. If you're 4th, you can't take it. You eventually have to attack into Lurkers, and I feel like you can compare this to almost like Mech versus Protoss or something. If there's enough siege tanks holding an area, you can't move it out. Like the Lurker is basically a siege tank, you know? You can't just walk into that AoE damage. It's never going to be cost efficient. He tried to flank with Zealots, and it still just was not good enough.
Yeah, there were just way too many lurkers, and the spread was fantastic, as you said. Classic had a nice idea trying to come around the side and go for a surround, but